Hey guys, it's Avenger. Welcome back to the channel. We're back up here at Kent Farms to take a look at another aircraft. This today is the Flyboy Simulations Rans S6S. This is a relatively new developer, and this is their first project they've released, and I was sent a copy of this by the developer, heads up, beforehand, earlier in development, and now the final version. And I have to say I'm conservatively impressed with the first project. Now, the Rans S6 Coyote 2 is a single-engine tractor config, two-seat high-wing monoplane, developed by Randy Schlitter. YouTube don't demonetize me for saying a word I didn't say. Made by Rans Incorporated, and it's a kit aircraft, or you can buy it as a completed light sport aircraft. The original S4 was developed in '82 or so, and he really wasn't happy with, and that was a single-seater, wasn't happy with existing ultralight designs, and it was first flown in March '83. Now the Coyote 2 is development on from the S4 and S5, and it has improved engine, bigger wingspan, better performance, and of course 2 seats. Available, like I said, in both tailwheel and tricycle. That's the word I'm looking for. The aircraft we'll be looking at today is the tailwheel version, because the trike is basically identical other than the landing gear being in a different place. If anything, it flies easier because it's a trike. Now we'll be doing some stall today, so we want to play with the tail dragger. So obviously pilot and passenger, 20 feet long, about a 34-foot wingspan, and this one's running a Rotax 912 ULS with 100 horsepower. She can put out about 100 knots max speed, about 80 knots cruise, and a range of only about 190 nautical miles, so not a lot. 1,000 foot a minute rate of climb. It's not super powerful, but she's very good at low and slow flying. Now this one comes, of course, like I said, with the trike and tail dragger. We've got a number of liveries. We have the usual spiel of high-def textures and models, which everyone says, but means the same thing. The flight model is based on real data, not necessarily real pilots. We have an interactive VC with a functional checklist, sunshades, and a GoPro cam, which is a feature I love and wish more developers would add. It's super cool. We have sunshades, weight-based visibility of the pilot figures, and we have analog steam gauges with the area GPS nav system, which I actually quite like. And this also includes a paint kit. How much is this? About 16 to 17 euros, depending on where you buy it from, which is a decently reasonable price, actually. Worth looking at. Let's go take a bit of a better look at this aircraft. So we'll go outside here, and I'll turn my head tracking off for a moment whilst we do that. And we'll have a bit of a look-see-doodle while I slow that down. So I always like to look at the weird places for modelling stuff, because I like to see what a developer's done in places where people won't look at very often. Now you can already see the fabric covering there on the fuselage. Nicely done detail there. That is actually a positive. I really like that. And there's the kind of the gap filling in the gap between the tail and the rudder, which is again not always done. That slot gap filling kind of material to kind of improve airflow and performance. It's there on the wings too. That's a nice little detail. You don't always see that. It's not there on the flaps though, so might reduce speed slightly. But the fabric covered wings, details are rather nice on those actually. The sunshades there. Ooh, there's a nice tyres. We do like a nice tyre on this channel. And nice brakes, of course. And if you look up in here, there is actually an engine. Yep, you can't see it much, but it's there. So in the cockpit, we have the GoPro back there, actually. So you get that kind of GoPro pilot eye view. And here's our cockpit. But we'll look at the inside properly for that. So we'll go back outside with the camera here. And we'll jump into the actual cockpit of the aircraft, take a look around. So, as I toss my controller upside down. Alright, so there we go. Let's open the door. Fuel valve on. Can I reach through the door here? I can. So, really simple cockpit layout. Of course, we've got our hot air entry, parking brakes, we've got mags, avionics, and radio systems. We've got our audio. That's our alternator, which you use the breaker to actually turn the alternator on in this aircraft. So let's put the batteries on here. We have our checklist right here we can click on, which gives us our procedures. So we've got all those done. Seatbelts, pre-flight brakes, they're on. Breakers in. Yes. Radios are off. Lighting's checked. Nav, strobe, switches correct. Fuel on. Master on. So it's brakes, throttle, prop. It's clear. Starter engaged, throttle to adjust, oil pressure. So these are all basically right. So this should be a simple job of making sure everything is set as it should be. Crack the throttle. Clear prop. Right, let's make sure we keep this about 1800 on the RPM to warm up the engine. And we'll close the doors. In fact, I'm going to kick you out for a minute, Sally, because I would like to have some better visibility of what we're about to do. Wow, so I'm heavier than her. That is rude. That is incredibly rude. Go away, you skinny bitch. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just raise my seat a little bit. Even though it's got quite a short nose in the exterior, and the sounds I think are default, so that's not wonderful, but it's not terrible. Even though it's a relatively short nose in the aircraft, it's quite a long nose for the pilot considering where you're sitting, so it makes things a little bit interesting there. Radio's on. We need those on now. Just make sure our transponder is on. And everything else is good to go, so we'll set to that. Alright, so I'm going to close these doors. We'll open them in flight and see how it sounds. Obviously, if you like things like the Kit Fox, this is another aircraft of similar ilk. And we have the... Where do I click? I saw a click spot there. Oh, they're click and drag. That's nice. Move those back. Now, what is cool is you can click on this and go to that kind of pilot's eye view there, looking forward, for the GoPro kind of YouTube pilot view, which is awesomely cool. Quite like that. So I found the default pilot position a little bit low, but we'll do what we can. There we go. Parking brake is off. Head is switched on. Take her out to the runway here. We'll give her a bit of a spin and see how she handles. Okay. Oh, a little bit overcompensation there. Temperatures are looking good for us here. Coolant's a little bit cool. So tail comes up naturally. Nose over. Speed's coming up. Up and away. Really nice, easy takeoff in this aircraft. Struggles with higher altitudes, so don't take this to somewhere like Idaho and try and take off at 5,000 feet. It will not be impressed with you. You'll manage, but it's not going to be as impressed. Lower down here, we're just about fine. We're about 2,000 feet right now. So let's pull this back. Obviously, being a Rotax, a very simplified engine to operate. We'll trim her out a little bit here. And let it settle down, and we'll come in for some landings and see how she handles. Like I said, not going to look at the nose wheel version. Very similar otherwise. Your perspective on takeoff and landing is much easier, obviously. Otherwise easier to land, I would say. Probably not as easy to land short. That is a difference. I will say interior modelling and texture is quite nice. I do like it. So I don't actually have the click views. That's a little bit surprising. We've got our quick views there. But we don't actually have shift views. That's interesting. But I do like this. I just wish the pilot would be visible as well. Obviously, you've not got a co-pilot in right now. I wish your pilot figure would be visible in this perspective, because that would look quite cool. That very YouTube-y style pilot vlog perspective. Right, let's bring the power back here. Now that takeoff was with no flaps, so we're going to roll around here, set up for a base leg to final. And we're going to try and do this as short as possible. So look at this, our stall speed is probably going to be under about maybe 35 knots. So we're going to want to basically hold about that mark. So we're at flap speed still. Barely will get over flap speed, so we're going to go full flaps here. There's our runway. Not a lot of flaps, I'm going to say. Even though they're full, that's not a ton of flap. Oh, let's open this. No difference in sound with the doors open. Would have liked to have seen a sound difference. But there you go. Alright. We're not quite lined up here, which is my fault. Gonna drift us across here. Let our speed bleed off. Try and keep the nose relatively high whilst we do this. She's mushing a little bit, which is fine. Come on, mush for me more. We're really slow right now. About 30 knots. We're not going to land this time by, but apparently we can go real slow. Let's see just how slow this will go. Whoa, she bit. Okay, flaps up. Don't do that at that kind of altitude, boys and girls. That's really not good for you. Jeebus, that was a stupid idea. Ooh, farm. Squirrel. Now this is a really great little area to fly in because you've got lots of little farms around here which look really cool. Right, so there's our runway. We'll circle back in here to land. She'll go super slow though, that's what we're learning. So we'll bleed off some of this altitude now and bring her around. We'll just curve it around here nice and gentle, come over the wires and the road. And we'll see what we can do with this old girl, shall we? It's a very gentle plane to fly. Very gentle. Now we know where our bite point is, it's about 30 knots, so we don't want to get that low. I'm off kilter from my centre line, which is terrible positioning on my part. I love the detail around this area with the farms. This is not going to be a particularly short landing, but we'll go for another one in a second. That's too close to comfort for the power lines. We're a little fast right now, so I want to do this again, but slower. Brakes are on. No, Nelly. Too much brake. Way too much brake there. Okay, we've got enough room for a takeoff here, so flaps are going to come all the way up. Apply power. Stop and go here. Let the nose come down. Hold the tail straight with the rudder, which is pretty easy. Let her lift up away from the runway. And we're good. So we'll come back in and do this again. We'll fly a pattern here and let this happen. I'm gonna have both these doors open. Why not? Wish there was a sound difference. There isn't. It's not bad. Given what we could expect around the kind of price range, it's not awful. It isn't the best thing I've seen for this price. Obviously, we have SimWorks Studio stuff coming out for a very similar price point, if not slightly cheaper, and they are probably gold standard of 15 bucks. But it isn't bad at all. You get two versions, which is good, trike and tailwheel. So for those of you who like trikes, you can fly that. It's a very comfortable aircraft to fly. It has good navigation. Obviously, no autopilot in an aircraft like this, so you are hand flying it, but it does trim out relatively nicely. Right, let's slow this old girl down, shall we? We're gonna have to slow down a lot more than I thought. This thing is got a lot of lift. A lot of lift. But the wings are very big compared to the size of the aircraft. Texturing and modelling I do quite like. It is well done in that regard. Some little extra nuances and details I think would really polish this off. There's the runway. But it is very good. Alright. Let's go one stage of flaps here. Turn base. Lose some speed here. Give it another notch of flaps. Bleed this all off. Stay this side of the power lines this time. There's the runway. Kind of keep the nose high. Keep a bit of a high alpha attitude here. Try and bleed off some of this energy. There she is. Okay, power's back to neutral. Applying full flaps. Going to roll it in for final here. And we're already feeling like I'm too high and too fast here. Let's... Oh, does not like to do that. It does not like to do a slip when you're this much flap deployed this slow. Let's go this side instead. Which she doesn't mind as much. There we go. Whoop. Whoopsie daisy. Boing. Oh, bugger. Ugh. Not the barbed wire fence, not the barbed wire fence. That was close. We'll give it one more go, shall we, for luck. We want to see if we can improve this. I like this, though. It's got little nuances to it that I do find quite intriguing. I think full flaps might be a bit too much for this. It feels right, but it also feels wrong. We didn't hit the fence, so we're just about okay there. I very nearly became one with barbed wire, which for a fabric-covered aircraft would be a terrible idea. We'll go left traffic this time. Maybe if it's giving me better visibility, perhaps. Raise our head up a little bit, because I'm quite tall, so I think I can get away with this sort of height in the aircraft. There we go. I think it's also because of the distance I'm giving myself. I'm not giving myself a ton of range. We've also got quite a lot of obstructions around this field, which make dragging it in a little bit more challenging. And it feels quite slippery at lower speeds. Like, I'm trying to go as short as I can with this to have fun with it, but it feels like I'm just putting a little bit too much into that compared to what it wants to do. It's quite a tight circuit as well. I'll extend outwards a little bit on my downwind here. So our lineup, we want to be looking for that kind of T-junction in the road. That's what we're looking for. I want to be set on my final before the edge of that clearing there. We'll give us quite a bit of distance. Flaps all the way down here. We'll give it one notch just to kind of help take the edge off our speed here. Keep my nose quite high. We've got 5 to 10 degrees nose up. That's our aim point there to cross the T-junction. Great visibility in this aircraft, I will say. Alright, let's pull that back a little bit. That's what we're looking for there. Let's try and lose some of this altitude without converting it to speed. It's not a big fan of side slipping. There we go. Tried to burn off some of that without building it into speed. A bit of power here. We'll go one notch lower than full flap. Okay, there's the road. We turn on course here. There's the runway. Again, we've gone past again. I have this habit of thinking the road is my aim point, and it's not! Oh, mother! Too slow. This is what happens when you are constantly trying to go slower and slower and slower with an aircraft. Eventually it bites you because you're not paying attention to the right thing. And I have no shame, so you'll get to see all of this. What can I say? We'll shut it down here, because I'm dead. I'm dead in a field here, because I tried to be a hero. I was never happy with having a short enough landing. It feels like it needs a lot more work to kind of really find the kind of vibe to get this thing really, really low and slow. It's quite bitey when it comes to stalling. It wants to spin quite easily. There are some aircraft, Cubs I find are a little bit more gentle when it comes to that. They don't quite bite as hard when they stall. They'll mush. This does not mush. This just goes straight to biting and dropping a wing. Which isn't a great tendency in a low and slow aircraft. Because if you're in a low and slow aircraft, you want it to bite and to not spin in. You want it to basically mush on you to give you some indications. This does not really warn me. It just goes for it, like it did there. I like it. It's kooky. It's a bit interesting. It's well modelled and well textured. Some neat little features. Worth a pop if it's your kind of aircraft, I'd say. But I will need to do some more practice because I'm not going to let this thing beat me. Yeah. There's a hole in the ground now where I am dead after trying one too many times to do things too slow and too low. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't fly like me. It's really not a good idea. Bye.